Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and I wanted to talk about some of the books that were put out for people running for president. There were a lot of books that were issued during presidential campaigns or shortly before the campaigns would start to let people get to know the candidate that they wanted to have elected. I wanted to show you four examples of these books from different ages. The earliest one I want to show to you, actually, is from 1848. And it was a book that was written about the person who would become the Whig candidate for president in 1848. And so it's not surprising that such a book like this would come out in that year. And here's the faceplate from it. General Taylor and his staff, Memoirs of Generals, talks about everything here. And of course, it's from 1848, an election year. And of course, there we are, General Taylor and staff. Just so you can know all about General Taylor and vote for him. The next one I want to show you is from a fledgling new political party. The candidate did not win, but it was the first movement for this new political party. And if I can open this here and show you, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's very fragile. And here is the faceplate from this book here. Late American History, the Courage and the Conduct and the Success of John C. Fremont, the hero of California. And of course, little surprise, it's 1856. And of course, Fremont will run as the first Republican candidate in 1856. And this is the book dedicated to that. It's a little hard to find this book on Fremont because Buchanan, of course, would become president. But very early example. In fact, the earliest example of all for all Republicans, because this was the first campaign in which they were involved. So you can't get any earlier. Now here's an interesting book. It's for James A. Garfield. And it says here, candidate for president. And it's Garfield and Arthur. And of course, it gives their history. The early life and career of James A. Garfield and the Honorable Chester A. Arthur. And of course, it is from 1880. I don't see it there, but let's go to the next page, and it's bound to say so. And if you can see, there it is, copyrighted 1880. Of course, James A. Garfield would win and would be dead shortly after becoming president, assassinated. Oddly enough, the assassin's bullet isn't what killed him, it was his doctors. The next book I want to show you is kind of neat. It deals with another election. Instead of having separate books for each candidate, which was popular many years ago, they started writing about the whole kit and caboodle and putting them all into one book. Like this one here. The Great Leaders and National Issues of 1896. The candidates for president, vice president, their lives and portraits. And it goes on to list all the various things that are important. And it lists all the candidates. And of course, we know who many of those candidates were. William Jennings Bryan, William McKinley, and of course McKinley would win. McKinley would run again for president in 1900 against our friend Bryan, and he would defeat him again. And then shortly after that, William McKinley was assassinated. And once again, the assassin's bullet was bad, but in many cases his doctors weren't too good either. So those are 4 books dealing with people running for president. And of course, they wanted to get the names out so people could get to know them. It's just kind of cool to look at. Today we do the same things, but in different ways. But going all the way back to the earliest days, we have books, flyers, and programs, all dedicated to pushing various individuals for president. It's always fun to look at these books and learn from them because you get the greatest sense of the history at the time and the greatest sense of how unique and different the world was at one time.